Thanks for joining us on our comic book coffee break. I'm Nick Gunning.
I'm Eric Mickles, known online as Dust vs. Tweak.
Eric, today I'm drinking Public Goods medium roast coffee with a little bit of creamer and some Irish cream syrup in my I Survived the Kobayashi Maru mug.
Oh, congratulations about that. Did you cheat your way out of the Kobayashi Maru?
I got creative. Let's just say I got creative.
Yeah. I'm just drinking water.
That works for you.
It's in a flash glass.
Oh.
Flash glass.
Wait a minute. What? Is that a glass or is that a mug?
It's a glass. Just a nice see-through glass.
Oh my gosh. Breaking the premise already.
Am I?
All right, you know what?
Can't you drink?
You are.
Can you not drink coffee in a glass?
I guess you can't. In a glass?
Can you?
It's insane. It's completely insane.
I don't know.
All right, well, let's talk comic books.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. You can find more about this, but first, you can let people know that you can find more about this show and others like it at the network's website, radiomeanwhile.com.
Oh, I'm familiar with that. You know, other shows of the network include Three Nice Things, where we force ourselves to say three nice things about a movie with a bad and often earned reputation. Eric, what's next on that show?
Bulletproof Monk. Though, speaking of Three Nice Things, we did talk about Batman and Robin on that show. You were on that episode. It was me, Kendra, and yourself. Mm-hmm. We said we each came with three nice things to say about the movie Batman and Robin, and we just recently lost Joel Schumacher.
We did.
Who, when we talked about the episode, like, post Batman and Robin has always been very, like, kind and apologetic about the movie. It was like, I'm sorry you didn't like the movie. I wish I had made it. So, like, he never was like, how dare you? He was always a very good sport about it all.
The thing is, and I mean, I know we're still in the intro here, but when we rewatched all of the Batman movies, I was much more forgiving of Batman and Robin than I ever have been before.
Time has healed certain wounds,
we walked out of that theater because they did a whole big re-release and we saw each one in theaters again. We walked out of that theater and I was like, let's see Batman 5.
Well, it's hard to hate Batman and Robin in a world where, like, Batman Brave and the Bold is so good. Because really they're just like, they're going for the same tone. Obviously Brave and the Bold does it much better because Batman and Robin is 3.5 hours long.
Right.
But I mean,
and Batman's in it for the length of an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold.
But I mean, they're not too far removed when it comes to tone and stuff. I think we've just we had to get out of the whole Burton, even the animated series Shadow. We had to remind ourselves that there were plenty of valid takes of Batman.
Well, the thing is, and once again, recognizing we're still in the intro, the thing is with Batman Forever is that it just can't pick a lane. You know, half the time it's like Bruce is really like trying to deal with these childhood demons. And the other time, you know, Jim Carrey's just bouncing off the walls and like giggling while Drew Barrymore prances around in lingerie. Like it does not make sense within itself. But Batman and Robin has its tone and is consistent throughout. So at the end of the day, which one is really the failure? That's my question. I mean, Radio 64, video game music remix radio. Previously on X-Men, the podcast that looks back on X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. And 9021, Here We Go, a 9020 rewatch podcast hosted by a 9021 expert, that's me, and a 9021 novice, that's Kendra, who was also with us on the Batman and Robin episode of Three Nice Things.
She was. She was.
Did you want to say more about the Batman films?
About the Batman films?
You started to, and I cut you off with Radio 64.
No, I don't think so.
Featuring video game network. Sorry.
No, I don't think so. You guys, where are you in 90210?
As of recording, we are midway through season 3.
Right. Yeah.
So this is it's a good time to hop on. This is the time where the things that even if you're not a 90210 fan, some of the like catchphrases and some of the more iconic things are in the near future here.
Like excuse me, princess.
No, that's the Steve Martin stand-up from the 70s. Not really relevant.
It's me, Mario.
That's the one.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it on the second try. No, if you're not a fan of 90210, if you've never watched it, we do go very thoroughly through the episode. So you could just experience it like an audio drama narrated by me and my co-host Kendra.
Yep.
Good times were had by all. So what's going on with you lately, man? What do you what's your current comic book intake?
What am I reading right now is the question there. I think I finished when last we spoke the issue 12 or 13 of New Mutants. I'm somewhere in that zone. Basically, we talked about how New Mutants was supposed to be like they're students, they're not superheroes. They're in a teaching capacity. It's just it's how the school kind of started out at the beginning, but with new characters. It's the 80s. We're not going to do these big superhero stuff. And then we've spent like 6 issues in a lost Amazonian city, which is filled with just a bunch of Romans who got lost back in the thousands of years ago and now have been living there. And so the New Mutants are in a gladiator fight. There's Selene, the mutant like vampire witch, is there. It's so bizarre, and I'm like, what's New Mutants about again?
I know, I agree. I went through a similar thing with both New Mutants and Alpha Flight. New Mutants, I was like, my wife was reading it just to keep up to date for Previously on X-Men, a podcast that she co-hosts.
With me?
So I was with you, and I was reading those along, and I was like, I'm just going to read through the New Mutants, why not? And then I was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, you know what though?
I just find it weird.
It is weird.
Not a pleasant way.
Well, we'll see.
But I had a similar thing with Alpha Flight. I was like, I'm going to read all of Alpha Flight.
Yeah. I've been liking it though. It like as weird as it is and not what it seems like it's supposed to be. It's still like there's a Silver Age goofiness about it that
I do like some Silver Age goofiness,
that also kind of works with the 80s sensibilities. Like it's very character focused, Silver Age sensibility. So I don't know. And Magma made her first appearance. I've forgotten about her. She was like the audience surrogate in the first X-Men Legends game. And she falls into a volcano and then she's like, I made a fire, and it's a little bit too reminiscent of Phoenix bursting out of the bay being like, I'm fire made flesh and everything, but I'll allow it nonetheless. So I've been reading that. I stopped reading New Mutants because next up I'm going to read Magic's series, which is collected in like Magic and Storm.
Okay.
It's called Magic, Ileana and Storm or something. It's about magic. I believe it's about magic being trapped in limbo. All those years she was trapped in there. So anyways, for the most part, I'm liking New Mutants. I'm liking the characters. I have a theory that I might like New Mutants more eventually when Chris Claremont isn't the one writing them. But also, it's around like issue 18 where like the Demon Bear saga starts, and that's where I think a lot of people really start talking about the series respectably when the new artist comes in. So we'll see.
So you said this is 80s, right? When New Mutants is in its prime?
1982 or 83.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I'm still in 70s with my Iron Man reading. And I finished that epic collection of Enemy Within. And it's cool to see Rhodey take over as really like the primary character in that story. But it does start to get a little like each issue, Tony's sort of showing up just being drunk and on the sidelines. And I feel like it was like 15 issues of you get a few panels of Tony being like, I'm drunk. Yeah. And there's like very little progression on that. And I got kind of frustrated with it because I was like, either do something or just have Tony, let's not see him for a couple issues and then like check back in. So I got a little bit of Tony fatigue in that run. But
you and probably most of the Marvel Universe.
Fair enough. But I am really enjoying it, and I'm trying to cycle through like old stuff and new stuff. So I'm really sort of working my way between like Stan Lee, Captain America, Denny O'Neil, Iron Man, and then I'm in like mid 2011 for my Marvel reading right now. But what else do you have going Marvel wise?
Marvel wise, no, I'm not. It's just New Mutants Marvel wise.
Just New Mutants. Okay.
Marvel wise, yeah. What I just read, I've been reading because I have a subscription still to Comixology. I got like a free trial. Every now and then I get a free trial, I cancel it, and then like a couple months later there's a new free trial offer. I'm like, I'll take that.
As well.
So I grabbed Comixology, and I've been reading Shadow Man.
I don't know what that is.
Shadow Man's a Valiant character. So the same universe as Bloodshot and other stuff. Though where the Bloodshot comics that I read a while ago were more from the recent reboot, the Shadow Man stuff I've started from the beginning. So this is Shadow Man #1 through, I think I'm at like issues 5 or whatnot. And there was like a issue 0 that I read as well. So this is like 1992 Valiant, written by Jim Shooter and Steve Englehart. Or created by Jim Shooter and Steve Englehart, and Mike Manley was the artist. And
I mean, you mentioned Steve Englehart,
we
so I can't
interviewed
help.
Steve Englehart back on the All the Book show
that we did. Yeah, and that's actually kind of a funny story how that came up. I'll tell that story when you're done with this.
All right, but yeah, so I'm not really sure who's writing it as I'm reading it, because it was created by Jim Shooter and Steve Englehart, I don't know. But there's there's something about it that's really, really cool. It's kind of dark. His powers aren't like he's a bit fearless at night. Like the Shadow Man takes over, so he's a bit more fearless, a bit more daring. He has some increased strength and healing and other different kind of powers, but he's not like Superman. He doesn't turn into like a werewolf. He's just a really dangerous fella at night. And his costume is kind of not great. It's not as hardcore as you think. The logo is like just him in a doorway, and that's what he wears on his chest. So if it is Shadow Man in a doorway, and then you look at his logo of him in the doorway, you're like, whoa, put him in a doorway in a mirror? Forget about it. But yeah, there's just something cool and weird and, I don't know, a little bit edgy because it's from 1992, and you know what was going on then, like in the 90s in comics.
90210 season 3, actually.
There you go.
So contemporaries.
Yeah, and because it's Valiant and stuff, and I was reading at one point, like Shadow Man was outselling like high profile Marvel and DC characters. It was selling millions of issues. I mean, that's why Acclaim bought it and made the video game and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's dark, but not necessarily too dark.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm digging it in like this retro 90s fashion. Like, so it's like supposed to be 44 issues, and they're all up right there. So I'm just gonna read them issue by issue. But it's not really collected. Like and it's probably because it's like a lower. Valiant isn't the most popular brand in the world. But I think you can read like the first.
Vin Diesel just found that out.
Yeah. I think you can read the first 7 issues in like a Valiant Classics or Valiant Collection or something. But I'm just gonna read the single issues. So yeah, and then maybe check out the reboots. I think Garth Ennis does it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if you like Shadow Man, but I'm digging it.
Well, I mean, if it is Englehart writing any of it, I don't think I've read anything by him that I haven't liked. That's not quite true. There was one Englehart that I read in preparation for our interview that I didn't like. It was an Aquaman Joker story that dealt with the Joker fish, and it was just so bizarre. It was such a weird pairing.
But it was like Aquaman, a Joker fish sequel?
Yeah, but I mean, Batman wasn't in it. It was just Aquaman.
Right.
Which I guess, like, it's fish. So,
yeah.
But
that's the excuse a lot of the Justice League have when they invite Aquaman. Like, well, I guess we're dealing with fish.
Yeah, call him up. But over on the podcast that Eric and I host together for the David A. Howe Public Library, the All the Book Show, which you can find at soundcloud.com/allthebooks, we interviewed Steve Englehart for Batman Day, but we talked a lot about Green Lantern in that, because I had really enjoyed his Green Lantern run. But how that started was it your 30th birthday, Eric? With the Jurassic Park comic?
No, I don't think it was my 30th. I think it was like 31 or something. Yeah. It was the one we went to Dave and Buster's. Yeah. Maybe that was 30, but I think it was 31.
Look how it all ties together. I won a stuffed Green Lantern from a claw machine.
What?
I know. The same thing. Yeah. But anyway, I had gotten Eric a Jurassic Park #1. I think it's Raptor's Revenge even. Is that what it is? And it was written by Steve Englehart. And so I was trying to get somebody cool to sign it, And so I was looking at the illustrator and different things, and I didn't really think that I could get Steve Englehart to sign it. But I did end up getting in contact with him, and he was like, okay, sure, probably because it was such an off-the-wall question. Like, it wasn't, can you sign, Batman Strange Apparitions? It was Jurassic Park, Raptor's Revenge 1. But he and I just sort of started chatting a little bit just via email back and forth about just Batman and some other things. And so that sort of rolled into inviting him to come on the All the Book Show so we could do an interview for the library, which he did. And we had a great time. Yeah. And so we interviewed him for that, and then you and Hillary interviewed him
for Previously on
X-Men, talking primarily about his early run on Beast's solo series, right?
The solo series, and he was one of the few writers like writing the X-Men in his other books. So like they appeared in Captain America, they appeared in the Avengers, like the Avengers and the X-Men teamed up to fight Magneto. So like when X-Men wasn't being published anymore and they didn't have a series, he was still using the characters just making them appear. And he said he just liked using them, just like the characters. So.
Yeah, that was cool. Both of those are great interviews. So take a minute and find those previously on X-Men interview and soundcloud.com/allthebooks for the Batman / Green Lantern interview.
Which is all to say, 1992's Shadow Man comic still pretty cool today.
Still holds up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
before we move,
we interviewed Fred Van Lente.
We did.
Back to talk about Spider-Man back on All the Book Show, and I also talked to him about X-Men. Previously on X-Men when we talked about his time writing X-Men Noir and Kitty Pryde Wolverine First Class.
Yeah.
But he had mentioned War. That was a Valiant comic, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And have you read any Valiant?
Boy. I mean, I read his, is it Psylords? I read that.
You read Psylords?
I did.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of his, going back to Alpha Flight for a minute, it kind of reminded me of Van Lente's Alpha Flight as well. It had a sort of a similar vibe to it, and I enjoyed both of those.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right, well then, I've read more Valiant than you.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I don't want to say off-brand comics, but not the main two. You never finished Invincible, right?
I never finished it, no. I will.
Over to Image
Unless
Comics.
I die.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
you ever gonna read Science Dog? I'm trying to get you to read Science Dog for...
No, I haven't.
One of these days.
That wasn't your question, but it was an answer.
Yeah, okay. All right. I love that, but I haven't really picked up anything in the Image world since then. I've read a little bit of Brit. I did read all of Astounding Wolfman. I think it's Astounding Wolfman. I read all of that, but I haven't picked up any of their other stuff. Is there any Image stuff that you'd recommend?
Image right now? I don't think I could tell you an Image comic if you held a gun to my head.
Savage Dragon's still going strong.
Oh yeah, but Image is like. I have read a bunch of Image, but I definitely can't be like, this is a great Image comic. But every time I read something, I'm like, oh, this is Image. I don't know. Yeah. So I can't remember.
I strongly,
they're very independent friendly.
Yeah, right. That's true. I definitely recommend Invincible though.
Okay.
And even I didn't read. There's a couple of spin-offs that don't have Invincible in it that I picked up and was like, I don't really want to read this, but.
All right, well, best Image comics. I just typed it in. That was Paper Girl and Saga and East of West and
sure.
Yeah, I guess I thought Walking Dead was something else. I didn't realize it was Image.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because it's Kirkman, just like Invincible.
Yeah. So Invincible, Monstrous is pretty good. Paper Girls was good.
Yeah,
I really
like
that. Descender. Descender's probably my favorite one in a long, long time. So yes.
Okay.
All to say, Shadow Man is still pretty good.
For my Marvel reading, so I'm kind of in a messy spot right now, but I finished volume 2 of Wolverine and the X-Men.
You said this last week. No, it's all right.
No, I didn't. I said I was starting.
Okay.
But I finished volume 2.
Right.
And same. I still just it's so quirky and so weird, and I have respect for that, but I don't particularly enjoy it.
That's all right. We all have different taste buds.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So that's so forgiving of you.
Two pals that go every week to eat pizza and try different pizzas. They're taste buds.
Hey, do you want to do that?
Do you want to be a taste bud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look into it.
All right.
Anyway, I finally started the Avengers versus X-Men crossover, and so I'm reading the main title, but I'm also reading. It's so sloppy.
It's everywhere.
This is literally everywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm reading all of the stories that go along with it too. So
Avengers,
that means I'm
New Avengers, Secret Avengers, New X-Men, or Uncanny X-Men, Wolverine the X-Men.
Yeah.
Is there a third X-Men in there? X-Force? I don't even know what was going on at the time. X-Factor?
Yeah. There's something that says X-Men Legacy or something like that.
Oh, yeah, X-Men Legacy. Yeah, that's the one that was started out as a Professor X solo series, post-Messiah Complex, and then it kind of became a rogue series. And then I think Legion took it over.
Okay.
So
I'm not reading those, nor am I reading Avengers Academy. But everything else I've been reading. Still don't like New Avengers. It's still primarily about Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, managing their relationship and being parents.
Well, that's not easy.
I know.
And then throw in being superheroes?
4 volumes of them having...
The problem is that Jessica Jones is a cool character.
Yeah.
But in that thing, I remember her being very we gotta give up being a superhero.
Yeah.
And it's always the character who is saying, I don't want to be let's not be superheroes anymore, that I feel like the reader is like, okay, enough of that. And so it just seems to do like Jessica Jones a disservice to put her in that role, in that kind of situation, because you're like, can you...
Well, I think it's interesting to have Cage be the leader of that Avengers team, but he never does it. He just is off in like a bedroom somewhere while Squirrel Girl is babysitting their child. And I'm just like, what are we reading? I'm just watching these two's marriage fall apart. But I'm in the middle of volume 2 of Rick Remender's Secret Avengers, and I'm really liking that. I'm liking the art in that is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm a little over Bendis Avengers.
Sure.
Though it is the stuff that's drawn by John Romita Jr. I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll keep reading this. That's doing a lot for me.
Right.
But I have 2 questions that I need to ask you.
Oh boy.
Things that I don't understand.
All right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I want to say the main Avengers title leading up to this, Scarlet Witch comes to Avengers Mansion, and people are like, get out of here.
Yeah.
We hate you.
Uh-huh.
And Vision, I guess they're still married.
Uh-huh.
But
I don't know.
Well, I think so. I mean, they call each other like husband wife, but he's like,
maybe it's passive aggressive.
Could be. He's like, you use my body to attack. You need to get out of here.
Uh-huh.
And so like she goes, and that's it. And I don't know what that's about.
I
don't know what's going on. I don't know why they're fighting. I don't know.
Well, because in isn't it X-Men Disassembled?
That's why I'm asking you. I don't know.
Caused the Vision to attack, and She-Hulk destroyed Vision? I don't remember. I'm not a huge Avengers whiz.
Okay.
But
all right.
I think they had some falling out. I mean, I don't remember them being married recently.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. All right.
So I imagine that.
It was just a very strong, and in this run of Avengers, I've been reading like since issue number 1, and there's been no mention of Scarlet Witch, very little of Vision, and so
who told her to leave the X-Men?
And Vision.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. If I was the X-Men, I'd also kick her out. She's the whole New Mutants thing.
Okay, I just didn't understand it because all of these titles I've been reading since like their number 1 issue, and there's been no mention of the Scarlet Witch, no mention of like a beef with the Scarlet Witch, and then there's this huge like fight scene, and there's no context, and I just don't know what's going on. So that was my question number 1 that you did not answer.
Sorry.
That's all right. Question number 2, who is Hope? Why do we all care about Hope?
So, because of Scarlet Witch, there was the no more mutants thing. And so all the mutants were decimated is the thing. But the idea was that there were like 198 mutants left. And no new mutants were being born. There were no new mutants being born. The mutants were just going to die out. There wasn't enough genetic material in the pool anymore to like create new mutants. It was just, they were done. And then during Messiah Complex,
Clive Owen goes and helps. Or is that something different?
That's different. That's a different story. In Messiah Complex, a new mutant shows up on Cerebro for the first time in a long time. And that's Baby Hope. And so they go and everybody's after Hope. Sinister and the Marauders are after Hope. The X-Men are after Hope. It turns out Bishop is after Hope because she's like the destruction of his future or something. Turns out Cable is after Hope. And so Cable takes Baby Hope into the future. And so if you read the Cable series, I think it's like 2007 is when the series started. It runs for a while. It's basically Cable and Hope running from Bishop throughout the timelines and stuff. But she grows up throughout it. And so Hope is the first baby born since the Scarlet Witch the House of M, no more mutant situation. And her power, as I haven't read too much with it unless she shows up in the other books, her power is that she can replicate other mutants' powers. But everybody always thinks that I don't think it's done so much anymore, but it was always like, oh, she kind of looks like a Jean Grey, huh? So everybody thinks that the Phoenix Force is heading towards Hope, I believe.
Right.
In Avengers vs.
Yes.
X, so.
And it seems like the Phoenix Force is coming back, and it seems like both the X-Men and the Avengers think that Hope is somehow like they all want her, and I'm okay.
So Hope is considered to be like the mutant messiah at this point.
Okay, but she's not, other than being raised by Cable, she's not connected in any sort of family way.
No.
To Cyclops or Jean or Cable.
No.
Nothing.
So,
okay.
But I mean, these days,
she
treats Cable as dad. She calls him dad and all that stuff.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
And Rachel Summers is
Scott and Jean's daughter from the alternate reality, the Days of Future Past reality.
Okay.
In the original 80s comics, Rachel Summers is the one who uses her powers to send Kitty Pryde back in time to her own body.
Okay.
So.
All right.
But then she's been brought into the mainline universe.
And so when they say that
Rachel's
she was
cool.
when they say that she was raised in hell, they mean like a metaphorical hell of that
Rachel Summers?
future.
Yeah, yes. Rachel Summers was raised in like the Days of Future Past.
Okay.
Thing. So I mean, it's metaphorical, but it's also like her people are being destroyed every day.
I just, given the story surrounding it, I guess if she was literally raised in hell, I wouldn't have been that surprised. So that's what I wanted to clarify.
If Ileana Rasputin had showed up and she had been like, I was raised in hell, you could believe that.
Kind of wonder. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I am enjoying Avengers versus X-Men. It seems like any time when you have heroes fighting, and we don't have to talk about Batman v Superman, it always seems like the reason is kind of flimsy. And I feel like the reason here is also kind of flimsy.
The problem I have with Avengers versus X-Men, I get it because they're like, oh, we got to stop the Phoenix Force from causing more problems. My problem is, with something like Avengers versus the X-Men, I feel like it's very one-sided, that they're very much like, the Avengers are right! And I'm like, shut up. These are the kind of issues where I'm like, Captain America, just shut up. Get off their lawn. It's just, they come across so obnoxious, because the problem with having mutants in the X-Men in the main Marvel universe is that mutants are being marginalized. They're being attacked all the time. I mean, they're having Sentinels go after them and being wiped out. They're having Scarlet Witches say no more mutants. They're living on a rock in the middle of the ocean. And the Avengers are in a mansion just having a good time. They're also superpowered. And yet somehow the Avengers also just ignore all the problems. Like, oh, a bunch of Sentinels killing all the mutants. Look, Kang the Conqueror. And, so like in this situation, it's just like, you don't know what the frick you're talking about. And as obnoxious as Cyclops is in this series as well, it's hard it's hard not to be like, well, yeah, what have you done for mutants ever?
Fair enough.
Avengers. And post-Avengers versus X-Men, they kind of start addressing that.
Don't tell me.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, like, Marvel starts addressing that fact.
Oh, okay.
But reading this, it just made me mad. It made me mad. Anytime I read something where it's X-Men versus Avengers, I'm like, well, of course the X-Men are right. But
I haven't read Civil War 2 either, but I feel like a lot of similar complaints go to that. That's pretty much where I am for Marvel, because like that right now for me, that Avengers versus X-Men is spanning like 6 titles. So
I had a bunch of trades when I read
that
the first time. Back in like 2013, my local library had like the whole series in trades, so I sat there with one of those like the reading order things. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's what I have.
It was a good time. I was in Jacksonville, Florida. I could just sit outside by the pool, reading those in the sun. Oh, man.
Yeah, laugh it up. Absolutely.
What else are you reading then?
Boy, let's see. I guess that would move us into DC. So I've been reading Showcase Presents Robin for a long time.
Yeah.
And it pains me to say this because while I'm talking about Robin, let me do a little show and tell here. Do you see this guy?
Oh, that's cool. Where'd you get
that?
This guy
right here?
Yeah. Is that from the movie?
It is from the movie. And I was looking for something else. I was looking for the Teen Titans Go comic books for my son because he's really getting into those. And I found this guy, and it's just this marriage of all of my favorite things because it's Robin time traveling to the Back to the Future theme. I mean, am I going to not buy this Robin?
Right.
No, I have to buy it.
It's funny because you said you were looking for something for your son, but I noticed that he doesn't have it right now.
Oh, this isn't for him. No. I was looking for the comic books for him, which he does have, but this is Papa's.
That's yours. So, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's not to say he doesn't covet it, but
right, yeah.
He knows where the lines are drawn. Let's just say that. Anyway, so I've been reading Robin Showcase, and what this is, it's a combination of early like Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen team ups with Robin and other Silver Age like Robin's centric, not even Robin's solo stories, and those are just extreme in their goofiness. Like they're so far that they're not really fun to read, and especially because I mean I love when I was a kid, as you'll see as we go through my quarter box, there's a ton of Jimmy Olsen and Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane in there because I loved those quirky little stories.
You and Lisa Simpson.
That's true. Reading one in like glorious, 1950s color is fun. Reading a black and white collection of them the size of a phone book is terrible.
That's all right.
So, I mean, if you're gonna
these are
read
60s, 50s.
So there are 2 volumes of Robin archives, which are even earlier, which are like 40s and early 50s Robin backup stories. And those are pretty bad, but those feel a little bit more like it's like a historical document, So those were kind of interesting to read. But this showcase was, 50s, 60s, and then eventually we get into the 70s. And those, it pivots from being the goofiest thing you'll ever read to Robin like being on the campus of Hudson University and being so serious about like little social issues. But they're also just backup stories. So they're like 5 to 6 pages, and it's like every ounce of dialogue that could fit in there is in there. And it's like the conversation just overtakes the story, and so it doesn't even feel like you're reading any stories. So sadly, I just really didn't like it. I didn't enjoy reading it at all. I was working the primary election, so I have to be there all day. And so I brought that with me, and I was like, I'm gonna finish this showcase, come hell or high water, and I did. And the only thing that I could say about it in a positive way would be there's really early Mike Grell art. Mike Grell, who probably at this point best known for his 100-issue Green Arrow run, where he's writing and illustrating not all of them, but a lot of them. There's some of his early stuff where he's some of his very, very early DC jobs. He's illustrating some of these, and so it was kind of cool to see that, his pencils at this early stage. So I did like that, and there were some several issues towards the end written by Elliot S. Maggin, who was best known as the writer of Superman, basically for my whole childhood. Wrote some of my very favorite Superman stories, as well as Shazam. We interviewed Elliot S. Maggin over on the All the Book Show, so please check that out. It's a Shazam spotlight, but we do talk quite a bit of Superman in there as well. But I liked reading the Elliot S. Maggin stories, and I like getting a glimpse of that Mike Grell art. But if there was anyone who would enjoy it, it would be me, and I hated it. So I don't know who I would recommend this to.
Okay.
It looks good on my shelf.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Is that
showcase?
Something?
Yep.
Okay. What else you got going on?
I read Turok, Dinosaur Hunter.
I have Turok #1 in one of my long boxes that I bought forever ago.
Like
and I was
the
like,
older
ooh,
ones,
it's at #1.
like the Son of Stone stuff.
I mean, this must have come out thinking where I was when I got a little comic shop in Marshall, Michigan. I was probably like 12, so it would have been like 95 or so. So whatever series that was, I have #1.
You know what's funny? I'm reading Shadow Man,
Yeah.
which I know mostly because of the game Shadow Man 64, which I never played, and Turok, which I'm pretty sure the first time I ever knew anything about Turok was Turok Dinosaur Hunter on the Nintendo 64, which I never played.
Right.
So there's something about these Nintendo 64 games I never played influencing my 2020 comic book reading.
I guess so.
Yeah. I can't wait to read Glover, the comic book series.
Your love of dinosaurs is well documented.
That's true.
So I'm just wondering, are you rooting for the dinosaurs in these scenarios?
It's tricky. Yeah, that's tricky because you want to root for Turok. Well, here's the thing. So this Turok series, it's by Dynamite. I just read Volume 2, which I think is
Dynamite.
5 through 9 or something. Turok, it's like basically North America before the Europeans have come and landed on it.
Okay.
But now some have shown up. I can't remember who it was, but basically some people have landed in North America and they've brought dinosaurs with them.
Okay.
And so now Turok is like, whoa, dinosaurs, what are these?
So it's Keanu Reeves then?
I didn't like the first volume so much. It dealt a lot with like Turok and his people and like them not liking Turok. I'm like, get out of here. But volume 2 is Turok meeting this girl who's the daughter of Genghis Khan, and Turok finds the village where his parents are from. So now Genghis Khan is going to invade his like birth village, but his birth village is also terrible people. So he's torn. Like, do I defend them? There are good people on both. The girl is very nice. They have pterodactyls and like these things that look like cassowaries. Is that right? The giant bird that can kill you in a second. Yeah. And meanwhile, he's taught like this Carnotaurus to like be ridden and like, attack and everything. So then he's training those as well. So it's kind of it's this one was more interesting than Volume 1. And there were a bunch of dinosaurs. There were dinosaurs people were riding, there were pterodactyls.
Okay.
So
speaking of dinosaurs
and there was Genghis Khan in there.
True.
So.
Did you ever read Cadillacs and Dinosaurs?
Yeah. Is
it good? Is it cool?
I mean, it's very different. So I'll reread it so we can talk about it as well. I'll show it right here on camera because my wife got it. I got this sweet Cadillacs and Dinosaurs hardcover that has, gosh, it didn't last forever, and it was called like Xenozoic or something. This one's signed. It says number 46.
Nice. So
we're looking at oh, because it's different series. Anyways, we're looking at a whole bunch of issues here, but it's black and white. This old like indie comic that actually did pretty. Yeah, Xenozoic. Look at that. It's so cool. So, I can reread it so I can talk about it fresh. That'd be fun. After I finish these Turok series, so I keep a dinosaur segment going.
Sure.
What else are you reading in DC?
Well, yeah, I caught up with a little bit of a John Stewart Green Lantern run. So again, over on the All the Book Show. Just a few weeks back for Green Lantern's 80th anniversary, I guess. I was going to say birthday, but that seems wrong. We did a whole spotlight on Green Lantern, and then we had a special where we did a review of Green Lantern First Flights, which was a lot of fun. So you can find those over on soundcloud.com/allthebooks. But in the John Stewart spotlight, we were talking about this run called Green Lantern Mosaic.
That you were not able to find.
Well, no, it's not collected, and it's not on the DC app. So you can find single issues, but I couldn't even for a high price find like a full run of this.
You'd read it for a high price.
Yeah,
sorry, that was Resident Evil 4.
Well, I liked it. It was good moxie.
Sorry.
I could only find scattered issues, but it starts in the Green Lantern title of that time with a 4-part miniseries that sets up the events of Mosaic. So I was able to find that starts it. So here you have a bunch of civilizations, sort of Brainiac style, marooned on Earth. And I think it's Earth. Yeah, it's Earth. And the Guardians, who, again, are sort of portrayed as villains in this, assign John Stewart to be their protector. And the people in the local towns don't want the aliens, like, in their backyard.
Sure.
So John Stewart is kind of forced to be a peacekeeper here. And over these 4 issues, his frustration with the Guardians and with the locals just get more and more. They just eat at him until the point where he's like, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. We're going to start a whole new society. Let's go. And that's what the Green Lantern Mosaic title is all about. Like John Stewart sort of starting over with these random, like, lost cities. And so it's a really intriguing premise. The miniseries that I read, again, uncollected, it's just Green Lantern 14 through 17. It says right on the cover, Mosaic's part 1 through 4. Is very much set up. It doesn't really work to just read by itself.
Right.
And because I hadn't read the issues before, you're kind of dropped right in to the middle of the story. So you had to sort of use context clues to figure out what's going on. But what it did was make me want to read Mosaic even more. So I guess I'm just going to have to be on the lookout and
get on eBay or something.
Collecting. I did look on eBay, but
really?
There's no. Yeah, it was like, somebody had like issues 4 and 7 and 12, and then somebody else had like 7, 8, and 13. So it was like there was just no good way to get this series. But now that I read the miniseries lead up, I'm gonna have to track it down because it was unique and it was really intriguing too. So I'm reading that. I finished New Superman. So it's 4 volumes, and I really liked this author's work on the Superman Truth era, and he has a new one out. Superman versus the Klan is out right now, and he's just American Born Chinese is another one that he did. So New Superman starts really promising. It's where
I've read American Born Chinese.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's very good. That's like a young adult, but maybe more like a middle school kind of graphic novel, just about this boy who's American Born Chinese, dealing with stereotypes and how people see him, but also his cousin, and it kind of becomes this really weird introspection at the end. But yeah, it was good. So it's
Gene Luen Yang who writes these, and I mean, someday we'll have to just sit down and talk all about Superman Truth, because that's a run that I plan to read again because I just loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But New Superman follows. It's set in China, and it follows a Chinese version of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and ultimately an Aquaman as well. And the first 2 volumes are just they're just unlike any other superhero comics that I've read. They're really unique in that their setting, the character's background, the fact that they still are kind of connected to Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman as we know them, but are completely different characters. And it's not like this was Superman's protege or something, means that their relationship with the characters we're used to is just complex and very different from other sort of passing the mantle situations that we've seen. There's a lot of mystery about Kong Keenan, who is this new Superman, about his parents, about what happened to his mother. There's all sorts of things going on there. And so it sets up this cool superhero book with a really engaging mystery. By the end, it is just so chaotic and weird. Like the last one with Aquaman. So it's the North Korean version of Aquaman, and he really looks like a Pirates of the Caribbean character, like Davy Jones or something like that. Like it is a weird take on Aquaman. So you have like new Superman and the Justice League of China kind of fighting giant mutant sea creatures, and they don't know if the North Korean Aquaman is like a good guy or a villain. It is just so weird and so far removed from like volume 1 that even though it's not a very long series, I want to say it's maybe like 24 issues or something like that, it goes through a crazy change. So like I'm kind of hard pressed to recommend it, because while I loved volume 1, it's kind of a lost situation where like I don't know if the strangeness as it goes on really makes the first one worth it, because I don't think you really get satisfying answers to the questions that volume 1 and some of volume 2 pose. Right. So it kind of left me hanging, and I was disappointed because it was one of my early favorites of the Rebirth era. I really liked it a lot. So I don't know.
Just kind of dropped it. All right.
Yeah, it did. It just got weird. And
but this is the end.
Yeah, there were just 4 volumes.
All right.
What about you? You got anything else going
on? No.
No, nothing.
No, those were what I read. Turok, Shadow Man, New Mutants. The thing with the New Mutants comic that I was talking about is that this happened when I was reading Chris Claremont's like late 80s, early 90s output. Is that his writing? It's so, boy, I don't know what the right word is. It's thick. Okay. You know, it takes a little bit longer to go through. Like I read that Turok thing just right before bed. I read all those issues before bed. But reading the New Mutants, you know, taking an issue probably takes me as long as it does reading 4 issues of something today, the way we've decompressed stories and everything. Yeah. So, yeah, reading like this New Mutant things has taken me a little bit longer, I guess. I can't just I like sitting down to eat a sandwich and some chips and stuff. I'm not even done with like 4 pages of a New Mutants comics.
Well, I mean, when I read those, I agree. It took me a longer time because I feel like they are just very far removed from X-Men and other comics of the time, so you don't really have a shorthand with what's going on in them. And so it does take a little bit more like really looking down.
Yeah.
One of the comments we got online about Chris Claremont specifically was about his what is it?
Can't help you.
The Willow novels that he wrote, which I've always wanted to read because I love that Willow movie, but I've not read a Chris Claremont novel.
Right.
And even the comics I've read of his, I have been a little hit and miss, especially like the later stuff. Like his Big Hero 6 is not great, but you know.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I'll mention, this is a series that I've enjoyed. It's a more of a junior level series, and that's the DC Superhero Girls. Have you read any of these, or have you seen any of the movies or anything like that?
I haven't. I mean, when I was working at the library, I was buying them though, the comics because they were checking out a lot, and also the movies. Though the movies went the way of most things and became Lego, right?
They did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, and
the way of all properties.
True. And they kind of suffered, I think, at that transition. My son at least didn't like them as much then. But the setting of this is not mainstream DC continuity, of course. It's all set in a high school where, you know, all the superheroes go to high school, and it primarily on women characters like Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman and Batgirl and Supergirl, Bumblebee, and it depends. The others kind of cycle in and out. Shea Fontana was the writer on these for many years, many volumes of that. The one that I just read called Metropolis High is a reboot of the series that's more in line with the animated series that you'll find on, I want to say it's Netflix that it's on. It's certainly not on DC Universe, which makes zero sense, but it's not there.
Yeah, they recently, what was it they did on the DC app? Or it was Superman not Birthright. Red Sun was there. It's like now on DC.
I know.
DC Universe after 2 months of availability. Now it's on DC Universe.
I don't get it. The things that are and aren't on that app make absolutely no sense to me. I know that there are all sorts of like deals that have to be honored and things, but when you make a list of the things that aren't on there, it's really shocking.
Now the Batman movies are leaving though because they're on HBO Max.
Right. So. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's such a sticky situation.
We did the first episode of this last week, and during the past week, I've been tempted to get the DC Universe app for comic reading for this show, but I was like, it's $75, and I'm like, I don't know if it will be around as it is in 2 or 3 months. So I think I'm waiting. DC has like they're doing like a special DC event 24-hour thing or something in the end of August. So I'm going to wait to see what's announced there. Maybe also find a promo code.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if it was just comic books.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Me too. I mean, that's 90% of what I do with it. Though I did eventually enjoy Titans. Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing, Stargirl have not really done it for me.
Yeah.
Though I am
Stargirl
kind of interested.
on the CW now.
You can, yeah.
And Doom Patrol on HBO Max.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, Swamp Thing is coming to the CW. Even though it was just a one and done.
Yeah, filler. They need a...
Yeah. But I'm actually more tempted to watch it there because a lot of the thing that kept me from getting into it is that it's pretty gross.
Yeah.
It's so editing it down for like CW standards might actually make it a show that I like.
Oh, yeah. All right. But
we'll see how it goes.
Superhero Girls.
Thank you. So this is a reboot from the Shea Fontana year. So it's a new design style, new author. This one was written by Amy Wolfram, who has written a lot of the Teen Titans Go and just classic, CW, Cartoon Network Teen Titans stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
I think, the Shea Fontana stuff had been, I want to say it's like 8 volumes or something. And I do sort of feel like it had run its course, like it needed a new coat of paint and in a new direction. But I just really don't like the new character designs. They're kind of hard to follow. Wonder Woman looks like 20 years older than everybody.
Yeah.
And
so she's the Andrea of the 90210 gang.
Thank you. Yes, for making that comparison. Absolutely. But part of the problem with this first volume is the older stuff used to sort of pick a character and like this was like the Batgirl centric volume. This was the Harley Quinn centric volume, whatever. This one, because it was kind of treating it like a volume 1, just had every character you could think of was just thrown in there. And so panels would have, anywhere from 5 to 10 characters on them. And it's just too hard to keep straight. And I didn't particularly enjoy it. It's only volume 1. And there's a volume 2 that came out earlier in the year. So, I mean, at this point, I probably will pick it up just because I've read all the other ones and they're a nice quick read. But I was not super impressed with the new direction of this one.
That's too bad. Superhero Girls.
Yeah. Would you like to share with me this week what you've selected from the Eric Mickles archives of Batman graphic novels?
The Batman books. Yeah, I selected Batman and the Black Glove. Well, that's how you would collect. That's how you get in the trade paperback. I believe it is J.H. Williams III who's the artist. This is during Grant Morrison's run. Grant Morrison's run it's hard to remember now because I hate it so much. But when it first started, it seemed pretty cool. We had he was coming off of the X-Men, the new X-Men run, so it was still like, all right, what's he gonna do with Batman? Batman and Son interviews Damian, but like, it had one of the Kurberts doing the art, and that was kind of cool. It had Talia. That was like a cool 4-issue thing. And also, it had this... The reason I picked Black Glove is because it's a 3-issue story in here. And it actually comes with... If you got this, you get like another Black Glove story that I don't care for as much. But what I'm really interested in is I believe it's called the Club of Heroes storyline, or the Batman of All Nation. basically it's this like Grant Morrison is doing his take on the Agatha Christie Then There Were None storyline. Batman and the Club of Heroes are on this island in the middle of nowhere, and somebody is picking them off one by one. And it's like these old like Club of Heroes, because like Batman had been part of this Club of Heroes since like, you know, I think before the Silver Age. I could be wrong about their first appearance. 1955 was when they first appeared. So it's like this older thing that Grant Morrison is pulling from, but they're still meeting. And yeah, somebody's killing them off. So you got like the Knight and his sidekick, the Squire, El Gacho, the Musketeer. So like these 50s style superheroes. And the art there that J.H. Williams is doing, it's just kind of, it has this kind of eerie murder mystery quality to it. And I remember the first time reading it, like I didn't know any of these characters, but it does that thing that the Club of Heroes is what they're called. It does this thing that I appreciate about a DC that Marvel maybe doesn't have because they've been going nonstop without technically a reboot or whatever, but it really taps into like the rich history DC has going back, you know, to the 40s, which is something as a reader who isn't really as indoctrinated? Anyway, I'm not as well versed in DC lore as you are. Like, I'm Marvel, you're DC. I'm rock and roll, your country.
Let's call the whole thing off.
But whenever I read...
Now I have Donnie and Marie stuck in my head.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's my fault.
It is.
Whenever I'm reading something of DC that does really go into its history, I do feel like it's cool. It's cool. It's unique. It's something that I don't really get from Marvel as much these days.
Okay.
Because either I know more Marvel lore, or just because Marvel wasn't going as long as, you know, that was. Okay. So yeah, I think it really taps into that. I think it takes the really fun Then There Were None plotting in there, and it updates that stuff with Batman. It was a fun story for 3 issues. So cool. Gosh, I must still have my single issues unless I got rid of them, because I was like, I hate you, Grant Morrison. I hate you.
Yeah, I see. There's a couple different ways it's collected. Yeah. Just by itself, there's the Black Glove Saga, and then there's a deluxe edition, which must have the extras that you were talking about. Yeah. So I assume that what you said was interesting. I was just singing Donnie Marie's Deep Purple stuck in my, you know. So I wasn't listening, but.
But it's cool.
I haven't read this, but if it's on the app, maybe I'll pick it up. Yeah, maybe you converted me.
This was just part of the Batman run. So that's issues Batman number 667 through 669.
Okay.
Right, because like the previous issue had been 666, which was like a Damien in the future one, and then there was that like text only, that prose only Joker storyline where Grant Morrison's like, I'm gonna redefine the Joker, and then it was like, well, this is, we know everything. But yeah, I think this was the last time I really enjoyed a Grant Morrison Batman story until he left the series. Yeah. So yeah.
I never read that Batman and Robin run with Dick Grayson as Batman.
I did. Yeah. It was rough. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm in it, and then no. I know some people probably loved it, but yeah, Grant Morrison writing the Batman was just a long, painful...
It was a hard time.
Yeah. And then with Final Crisis, it was just like, can we end this, please? Somebody else has something to say about Batman. And then it turned out, maybe not necessarily. I think, gosh, we got Scott Snyder next, and so that was good. But yeah, my Batman pick of the week is those 3 issues that you could find in the Batman the Black Glove, the Club of Heroes storyline. Nice. So,
all right.
Yeah. What's your quarter bin pick? You went through your quarter bin.
I did.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, here at Comic Book Coffee Break, I have been encouraged to actually get myself organized comic book wise. For years, I have been like, I just need to get some nice storage things, because I still have them in like the cardboard boxes and like plastic tubs that they've been in since like, 1989.
Right.
So I did. I finally got some nice like corrugated plastic long boxes that I could put them all in. My son's been helping me bag and board the ones that don't have them, though most of them do, because I'm not an animal.
Yeah.
But I did come across some comics that I haven't seen in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the ones that I chose today is kind of unique in my collection. It's the only one of this series that I have, the only one that I've ever had. And that is, let me pull it up here. That is G.I. Joe, number 112 from 1991. This is when Marvel was publishing G.I. Joe, written by longtime G.I. Joe writer Larry Hama and art by John Statima.
Yeah.
So
Larry Hama writing this since like day one. This has just been his series. Because I've been reading, I think you were going to bring it up, I was reading they've collected them in like these heavy trade paperbacks. And I don't remember where I am, but you've now pulled an issue out that's farther along than I am.
Oh. So, yeah, I want to say I only read maybe the first volume of the G.I. Joe classics. It was not for me.
Oh, okay. Well, I have been loving the Marvel G.I. Joe series.
I know you got into it.
So I think they've struck the right balance of like, is this serious? Yeah. No, not really. But are the bad guys crazy? Yes. I would be at issue 50.
Okay.
In the run right now.
So this series was published by Marvel from 1982 to 1994, spanning 155 issues.
Yeah. I've never watched an episode of G.I. Joe in my life. My G.I. Joe knowledge comes from the 2 movies and the first 50 issues of the Marvel Larry Hama run.
Well, what's interesting about this is you can't keep Larry Hama down, because in 2010, eventually, when Marvel stopped publishing it and the rights, reverted or whatever, IDW picked it up and actually picked up this series. Yeah. In 2010 with a special issue 155 and a half, and then started a new run at 156. Yeah. So Marvel stopped this in 94, and it was resumed. The numbering was resumed with the original author in 2010. Yeah. So there is no shortage of G.I. Joe that you can read. So this, when I was really little, I wasn't allowed to have G.I. Joes, not because they were violent, but because they were dolls. Because that was when they were still like Barbie size,
Okay. I think we just got to look at the home you came from.
Yeah, seriously. When I got a little older, that was when they were like the micro figures, and I was all about those. I had millions of those that I would pick up at garage sales, and my friends and I played with those pretty exclusively, knowing nothing about G.I. Joes, not their names, nothing. We just liked the characters. Yeah. We had names that we made up that we just locked in.
So like those Marvel superheroes I talked about last week, those figures where I was like, I don't know who Ghost Rider is, so he's just Flame Skull.
Exactly. Yeah. There was a character, I still don't know his name, so please tell me what it is, but he had Survival written on his shirt. We just called him Survival. That was it. So I'm sure that's why that I picked this comic up in the quarter bin. But I read it today just to sort of refresh my memory, and I am very confident that I have never read this comic book before.
Really? So you going through was the first time?
I think so, but I've never, like I said, I don't think I've gotten rid of any comic books really. But I don't remember this at all, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. It's very, very, very serious.
Oh boy.
Very.
Well, yeah, I guess it's G.I. Joe in what, 1992? Did you say?
Yeah.
And what's it say on the cover in this issue?
Ninja fighting, the war continues, and the body count rises. And
you just described every issue of G.I. Joe, but
it really does. I mean, I don't know if this is clear enough on the thing.
Wow, I'm not there yet. Don't spoil.
Sorry.
No G.I. Joe spoilers. Jeez, not cool.
Well, listen, it's not named characters or anything. It's just a monument.
To you?
No, it's not. It's not named characters. It's just they're like, we lost a lot of people, and it shows just like a field of rifles in the ground with like different helmets on top. And I was like, geez, this is not what Okay.
You know what? I don't know if you can find it, but if you ever find a copy of G.I. Joe 21, that's a pretty famous issue. That's a completely silent issue. I think it's even called Silent Interlude.
Oh, okay.
It's just really impressive, and I think it was just being done as an experiment before that stuff was really like popular. But you're reading it in the 90s when I'm reading Shadow Man of 1992. Here you are reading G.I. Joe. If yours is trying to compete with Shadow Man, it's going to be pretty bloody in that G.I. Joe comic.
Yeah, man.
So
this is the thing that I enjoyed most about this would be the ads that were inside of it. So this Dungeons and Dragon ad, I don't know if that's clear on the thing.
Yeah, what's this? Which Dungeons and Dragons is it doing?
A medieval swordsman, powerful warrior, or mythical wizard. This can be in the new Dungeons and Dragons game. It doesn't say any specifics.
Okay.
But yeah, this was on everything, and I always sort of like didn't want my mom to see this because she'd be like, "You can't have that," even though it has nothing to do with the comics.
You can't have dolls or Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Yeah, even when I wanted a Wonder Woman action figure, it was like a big deal. I mean, she's Wonder Woman. But some of the best ads in this would be an original Game Boy ad for Operation C. Give your Game Boy a taste of combat, Contra style.
Look
and
at
there's
that.
like a big...
Look at that monster. It's so gross.
I know, and he's eating a Game Boy. He's eating a classic Game Boy. That would be worth a ton of money these days.
Yeah.
Great ad for the Nintendo G.I. Joe game in
What? Well, that makes sense. Yeah, of course you're going to advertise G.I. Joe in your
live
G.I. Joe
action
comic. Yeah.
This is not like this is a live action. They put a man in this Cobra suit and we're like, stand in these trees so we can take a picture. That's pretty great. My favorite one is in the back, but there's also an ad for Double Dragon 3.
Okay. And it's kind of in the style of the Punisher logo. I wonder if that's intentional.
I don't know. But I loved these. I loved the Double Dragon games.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you ever see the movie?
No. No, but if you do it on Three Nice Things, dibs, because I love that game.
Okay.
And I actually downloaded it on my phone and have been playing Double Dragon as well.
Okay.
But
what's your favorite one?
There's one more ad. Do you remember when like anything that happened had a breakfast cereal with it? You know?
Yes, cereal or some kind of macaroni and cheese, or Chef Boyardee product.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but I remember really clearly, like we'd always get the like the Michael Keaton Batman cereal,
right?
Or the Bill
I don't think anyone referred to it as the Michael Keaton Batman cereal.
Okay, well I did. The Bill and Ted cereal, of course.
But breakfast time.
This one is for Ninja Turtle cereal. You have an image of this, right, Eric?
I sure do. You know what I love about this image?
What?
You got all 4 Ninja Turtles on it, freaking out about Ninja Turtle cereal.
Yeah.
They're holding up the box of Ninja Turtle cereal, which has all the turtles on it. So you're
it's
getting
very meta.
8 turtles in one ad. That's impressive. That's your money's worth.
And this little machine that they're on, that they're shooting pizzas out of, I had that toy.
Yeah, I remember that. All their stuff, you could get pizza box like guns that they would carry that would shoot pizzas out of them. So
it says, check it out, new pizza-shaped marshmallows and Ninja Turtles, and under that in small print it says, brand sweetened cereal.
I would be worried the marshmallows taste like pizza.
I would be worried that they don't.
Oh, so
Michelangelo.
It makes sense that Michelangelo's the one excited about all this one. Yeah,
it's radical tasting cereal, dudes.
Wait, who's holding the cereal? They're both orange.
No, it's in the it's more clear in the original here, but it's Raph. It's Raph who's holding the cereal.
Okay.
Yep. Donnie's driving, Leo's just running behind angrily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway,
right.
that's the quarter box, and now I've actually read it.
Mm-hmm.
And this one did not have a bag because it was not a prized possession. So it is a little beat up.
Yeah, you better get that in the bag. Yeah.
I got a bag for it. I'm going to toss it right in there alphabetically, and we're going to be in good shape.
Okay, so, all right. So after this, are you going to go eat Val Kilmer's Batman cereal?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I bet that's moody.
Yeah.
Right?
It is. It's the kind of cereal that just walks out without explanation. Like, is breakfast canceled? I guess.
Yeah.
We'll just,
Yeah. As a kid, I opened the bag and went to pour it in, and there was nothing in it. Just a note that said I'll be in my trailer. So... disappointing.
Yeah.
Disappointing, but realistic. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, that was good.
Guess.
Really got there.
Yep.
So. There was a Batman Forever cereal though, wasn't it? Like glow in the dark Riddler marshmallows. Yes. I guess you maybe not glow in the dark. You probably don't want to eat anything that glows in the dark.
Probably not glow in the dark. I wouldn't think. No, I wouldn't think so. But yeah, you're right. Actually, now that you say that, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. My son. Though, I mean, I was all for these. Anything that looked like, even if it was gross, I would be like, I want that because I love those characters.
Right.
My son would be like, no.
Where's the
he
real
was
cereal?
Big into Moana a while back,
and
there was a Moana cereal, and I was like, oh, perfect. And he was like, I'm not eating that. I don't want that.
Weird.
Yeah. I don't want.
We would only specifically eat Super Mario Brothers macaroni and cheese. Like, if my mom brings home regular elbow macaroni and cheese, get it out of the house. Why isn't this shaped like Yoshi? I want the Super Mario World macaroni and cheese. That
was always a real tough call for me because while I did love, I'm thinking specifically of Spider-Man macaroni and cheese, it doesn't taste the same. It tastes different. Like the noodles taste different. And so it was always a trade-off. Like you could have it look like Spider-Man, but it's going to taste a little wonky. And I think I would usually side with just wanting the real deal.
All right.
But we all make sacrifices in this life, Eric, and I
sure do.
an important lesson.
Yeah, with our cereals, with our macaronis, with anything.
Yep. Well, hey,
how's
man,
your coffee?
It's cold.
Yeah. Well, that's the sign that was the last topic of the episode then. So.
Oh, that was gross. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do we end this? Right. If you enjoyed this episode, you could find this and more episodes and more shows like this at radiomeanwhile.com.
Is there a link I should point to? Where is it? This way? Which way?
Is there a link? On your bottom left. Bottom right. Yeah, radiomeanwhile.com. And you can find both me and Nick on Twitter.
That's right. That's right. And of course, you can find us at soundcloud.com/allthebooks or All the Book Show on Twitter, where we
which this show is technically a spin-off of.
It is. Yeah. It is a spin-off. Yeah. It's kind of like how the Mary Tyler Moore Show was a half-hour sitcom, and it spun off Lou Grant, which was an hour-long drama.
Oh boy.
Kind of similar. Okay. So
yeah. When are you going to pull a Mary Tyler Moore comic out of your quarter bin?
Is there one? Hold on. Just kidding.
All right.
No, I would have it if it existed. So
yeah, I know.
Your joke's asinine. I don't appreciate
okay.
it.
Well, that was it. So, bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to and watching Comic Book Coffee Break.
So long.
Bye.